that Ron and I had we were so like had our rivalry, but we were also competitive, you know.
Mhm.
Obviously, she was better than me, but I still showed up, enough to like push her and to make the fight exciting and not just be like a 1 minute
Yeah.
armbar. And so I think that was kind of the turning point for Dana, because he was like, before that, it was like, oh, I've just only seen these terrible mismatches, and I don't want to bring that. I don't want that to be a part of the UFC.
You have been very kind of, I wouldn't say vocal, but a lot of people have asked you like how many more fights you have left, this and that. But on the flip side, you have Ronda now looking to try to potentially come back into this. What's your take on her coming in as you're kind of thinking about wrapping things up?
Yeah, it's I don't know if that's true or whatnot. I've been seeing the rumors floating around. So I don't know. Like, do you know if that's actually confirmed?
So I don't think it's not confirmed that she's been signed to fight anything, but
Yeah.
everything that I'm hearing is that there's only one fight that she's really coming back for, and it sounds like the Gina Carano fight. So they need to fight a way for them to. It's going to be down the line. It's not going to happen in the next 6 months. It probably won't happen. It may happen at the end of next year or wherever, but it's not looking to happen anytime soon. Both of them have to get back in fight ready shape, and both of them have, obviously it'd be a long press tour for it all. So it's
Yeah.
going to take some time for a fight
She
like
doesn't
that.
want to try to like to fight Kayla. Like, if Kayla wins, she's not talking about that.
I think just the removal from the sport, it's been
Yeah.
10 years. I mean, think about that. It's been 10 years, what, 9, 10 years, something like that.
Has it
So
really been that long? Damn.
why try to fight someone who's been active, who
Yeah.
is a two-time judo gold medalist? Everything you do well, she does just as well, if better, you could say. And it would make it a
Yeah.
very tough fight. And especially if it was your first fight back. I mean, do you want a
No, I
tune-up
I
fight?
I get it, but I just figured they would just, I just knowing Ronda's personality, I just figured that's what she would go for. But that's
Mm,
interesting. I didn't even heard anything about the Gina Carano fight.
yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out whether I'm fighting again yet or not. So, as far as I go, like I'm just taking it easy right now,
What
seeing
what's
how
the
the body holds up.
what's the process of that look like? What is it really kind of coming down to in making your decision making?
I think it's just giving my heart time to figure it out. I've learned that these things just cannot be rushed when you're making a decision that is going to affect, the trajectory of your life. My health and well-being is becoming more and more important to me.
Mhm.
And the sacrifices that I have to make as a parent is really tough. It's never been easy. But you know, when the weight that fighting carries for me in my personal journey, when it was just so important to me, then it's kind of like it's worth the trade-off. But the more that I do this, and the more that my kids are getting older, and the more that I was like, man, like, where's the time going, it just
Yeah.
gets a little bit harder for me to want it as much as I did in prior parts of my life, which I think is a natural evolution. And so I'm not trying to fight it. I genuinely love being a mom. I genuinely am so looking forward to my next chapter. I'm doing a lot of other things that I feel like can already make money. So it's not even about that for me. So it's just like it just has to feel right. And
Mhm.
I'm just a little bit in that limbo stage where I'm like, I just don't know if fighting again is right. And I don't know if not fighting again is right. So we're just kind of letting it marinate right now.
Yeah, it's good to take the time, and you've seen a lot of professional athletes when they lose, like say in the playoffs, right? They're like, I'm not making any decisions now. I'm going to give it some time, and they take a couple months, and they take their time to really soak it all in.
Yeah.
Because for me, like I never announced my retirement until about a year after. I already knew when I walked out of the cage after my last fight, I was like, this is it. I'm done. But I wanted to let it sit. I went to the gym, went back to AKA several times and, had some training. I was like, yeah, this just isn't for me anymore. Maybe I had a negative outlook on it all, but I enjoyed the training aspect of it, but I also knew that if I was going to move on with my life, I had to get out of the gym.
Hmm.
It's easy to get caught. I see guys that I train with that are still there, you know, 10 years later, and they were never in the UFC. They're just still in the gym every day as if it's like a job, but they're not really making any money doing it. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like they're just
Yeah.
there every day, just getting
Yeah.
punched in the head.
Sometimes it's time to just put some eggs in another basket. Like,
Yeah.
like,
But
right?
they've been there since, like, the beginning of my career, and they're still there, but they never made it to the UFC, never made it to, a couple they had a couple maybe 1 or 2 fights in Strike Force on the prelims, and they're still there. They're not really
Yeah.
coaching, they're just kinda there sparring and hanging out and getting work in, and I'm like, "Man, like, okay, is this it? This is what the whole life is?" And yeah, some people just love it. I just knew that, like, if I wanted to move on with my life, I had to leave the gym,
Yeah.
I got the dad bod now because of it. Once you leave the gym, it's it's all downhill from there. A couple little chins and extra layers. But, anyways, I'm looking whatever decision you make, just take the time on it. I took a whole year, maybe a little bit longer than that, and it was worth it. Let it marinate, let it
Yeah.
yeah.
For me, I think, when I fought Julia, I really feel like Julia Vila in December 2023, I feel like that was, the best version of me that I've ever been, and I wanted to test myself again. I really wanted to build on that,
Mhm.
but the truth is I tore 2 ligaments in my knee in that fight, and
Mm,
I had to have reconstructive surgery, and it put me out of off the mats for like 14 months. And it just what it's just not the same as it was before. And so I really pushed myself to come back and just try to see, like, could I even it kind of actually became more of like, can I get over this physical barrier? Can I do it again? And I did. And that was a huge win for me. But, I lost to Yana, who I think is great, and I've been seeing her continue to like, evolve, and she did really well against Chesson, and I was surprised because I thought a big, tall, lanky girl like that might give her some trouble.
yeah.
But no, I mean, she did great against me. She did great against Macy. So I mean, it's nothing against her, but I just feel like in my, that was kind of like a litmus test for me, and it was just like, okay, like physically, it was just really challenging. Like, not everything came back to me at that time. And so it's like, do I just need more time to get all my timing back? Or is it time to just be like, hey, it's, the ship has sailed. You've got a major career injury. And this is the crazy part. Like when you're making a decision like this, um, I had the worst injury of my career, bar none. And I had a fight that had 2 10-8 rounds and a round 3 submission. I finished. It was like
Yeah.
the most dominant I've ever been in any fight in my entire life, and I ended up with the most debilitating, long-lasting injury. So that's just, the truth is, like, you can get so hurt even in the fights that you could totally dominate.
Yeah. It's very true, 100%. Yeah, like, you just what it is once you get hurt, you almost, like, throw caution to the wind. It's like, "Look, I've got reasons now for a way out, but you don't need them because you're just gonna keep pushing." Like, when I fought Benson Henderson, I tore all the ligaments in my thumb all the way up into my wrist. I literally broke
Mm,
the bone in 2 places. I had to have 2 pins put in it, and they cut me open and all the way up to my wrist and had to basically restructure my whole thumb. And even to this day, I can't make a full grip around someone's wrist because it actually just extends out like that. So, like, my other one is, like, super tight, that's as far as it goes, and this one will actually almost bend backwards. It's gross.
yeah.
So, it is what
Yes.
it is, like, yeah, just getting through the process of mentally understanding that you're injured, and then on top of that, being able to work forward. I know this is not about the pay-per-view, but how good was it to hear or to see the reality of when Dana had said, when Strikeforce and UFC were going through their thing, and somebody asked Dana, like, "When are we gonna see females in the UFC?" And he's like, "Never." And then literally like a couple of years later, here we are. Like here you were. You were there leading
Yeah.
the charge along, with Ronda and other females, but wasn't it kind of nice to be like, "Oh wow, we're here. This is for real. We're not going anywhere now."
Yeah, I will never forget the day that, I got the call from Dana. I mean, I was just shocked that Dana would even call me. I was, I had, hyperextended my arm in my fight against Ronda, and I refused to tap. So I'm like sitting there, in a sling, trying to take care of this injury. And Dana literally calls me and is like, "Oh, you might want to sit down. Like I'm going to give you a really big bonus," which was like more than I had ever made in my entire career combined.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Yeah, we're bringing women to the UFC," and I was like, wow. I mean, just to get that confirmation, because I wasn't sure. I went in there fighting for not just myself and my title, but hopefully for the future of women's MMA. As you remember, Strikeforce being dissolved into the UFC. and we didn't know what that meant for the lighter weight guys, and we didn't know what it really meant for anybody, but we definitely thought it might mean the end of, the opportunity for growth for women's MMA. Because up until that point, Dana, like you said, loud and proud, have been telling everybody that women will never be in the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, you guys broke the mold. You really did. I know that it was Gina Carano and Chris Cyborg, were able to, the first females to headline on a major, promotion, a major network in MMA, but it was literally like you and Ronda that really kind of carried it over into the UFC, and just that animosity you guys had towards each other, or just a little beef, or everyone needs a nemesis, right? Like I had Gilbert Melendez and Gilbert had myself, and you had Ronda and Ronda had you. And like, it just kind of, I feel like those type of fights carried the female division into the UFC and women's MMA period, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was, I think that the difference was that Ron and I had so, we were so, like, had our rivalry, but we were also competitive,
Mm,
Obviously, she was better than me, but I still showed up, enough to, like, push her and to make the fight exciting and not just be like a 1 minute,
yeah.
armbar. And so, I think that was kind of the turning point for Dana, because he was like, before that, it was like, "Oh, I've just only seen these terrible mismatches, and I don't want to bring that. I
Mm.
don't want that to be a part of the UFC." So, yeah, looking back on it, it was exciting time for me. Getting that call from Dana was like, "Oh, all right, good news bears."